Deep in the underworld, where light cannot penetrate and the souls of the departed wander aimlessly, one creature stands as a terrifying guardian. A creature with 3 heads, sharp teeth, and the power to prevent the living from entering the land of the dead. It is said to be one of the most fearsome beasts in all of Greek mythology. Cerberus, the guardian of Hades. But what is Cerberus? Where did this beast come from, and why was he chosen to stand as the ultimate gatekeeper of the underworld? Today, we dive into the myth of Cerberus and explore the many secrets surrounding this legendary creature. To understand Cerberus, we must first understand where he came from. In Greek mythology, Cerberus was not a creature of the living world, but of the afterlife. He was the offspring of the monstrous Typhon and the half-woman, half-snake Echidna, 2 of the most terrifying figures in ancient myth. Typhon, the father of many of the Greek monsters, was said to be a terrifying, storm-like giant with 100 dragon heads and burning eyes. Echidna, his mate, was no less fearsome, a half-woman, half-snake monster that gave birth to several other creatures, including the Hydra, the Chimera, and the Nemean lion. So, what do you get when you combine 2 of the most terrifying creatures in Greek mythology? Cerberus. A 3-headed dog, each head with its own distinct personality, one fierce and aggressive, another cunning and calculating, and the third, often depicted as apathetic and indifferent. But Cerberus was no ordinary dog. He had a unique duty, one that no creature, no matter how mighty, could challenge. He was the guardian of the gates of the underworld, the realm of the dead, ruled by the god Hades. Cerberus' primary responsibility was to ensure that no soul could escape the underworld once it had entered, and no living person could pass through to the afterlife. Legend tells us that Cerberus was an immense, terrifying creature with massive claws, a body covered in black fur, and a tail like a serpent. His 3 heads would constantly snarl, his eyes glowing like fiery embers. But perhaps most horrifying of all, Cerberus' very breath could cause a cold, chilling sensation that struck fear into even the bravest of souls. Cerberus wasn't just a mindless beast, he was a creature of immense power and intelligence, known to be fiercely loyal to his master, Hades. But that loyalty wasn't blind obedience, it was fierce and unyielding. The few who dared to approach the gates of the underworld had to face Cerberus and prove their worth or face an untimely end. Only the bravest heroes, the most cunning mortals, could ever hope to outwit Cerberus. In fact, many tried, and failed. One of the most famous encounters with Cerberus comes from the 12 labors of Heracles. As the final labor, Heracles was tasked with capturing Cerberus and bringing him back to the land of the living. But Heracles was no ordinary mortal, he was a demigod, endowed with the strength of the gods themselves. Heracles, with the aid of his incredible strength and a touch of divine intervention, managed to subdue the great beast without harming him. He brought Cerberus back to Eurystheus, the king who had sent him on his impossible tasks. But instead of keeping the beast as a trophy, Heracles released him back into the underworld, as he was never meant to live outside the realm of the dead. But why was Cerberus so important to the ancient Greeks? Why did Hades need such a creature to guard the gates? Cerberus represents a boundary. The boundary between life and death, the known and the unknown. In ancient Greece, death was not just an end, it was a terrifying unknown. And Cerberus, with his 3 heads and powerful form, stood as a barrier to ensure that the dead stayed where they belonged, never to return to the realm of the living. But even in death, Cerberus was a reminder. A reminder that even the mightiest of heroes must face death in the end. And no matter how powerful one might be, Cerberus ensures that the realm of the dead remains undisturbed, forever. So, the next time you hear of Cerberus, remember, he is more than just a beast. He is the keeper of the boundaries between life and death, a creature who stands guard over the souls of the departed, ensuring that no one escapes their final resting place. 10 mind-blowing facts about Cerberus. 1. Cerberus was the child of 2 legendary monsters. Cerberus wasn't just any mythical creature, he was born to the terrifying Typhon, a storm giant with 100 dragon heads, and Echidna, a half-woman, half-snake creature. His bloodline was a mix of pure terror, making him the perfect guardian of the underworld. 2. Cerberus has 3 heads, each with its own personality. Each of Cerberus's 3 heads had its own distinct traits. One was aggressive, the second was cunning, and the third was often depicted as indifferent or lazy. This made him a multidimensional threat, as each head could handle different situations in its own way. 3. Cerberus wasn't just a guard dog. While he is most famously known for guarding the gates of the underworld, Cerberus also played a role in ensuring that the souls of the dead didn't escape. He acted as a psychological barrier, making the afterlife a place no one would want to return from. 4. He had a terrifying gaze. It was said that Cerberus had a gaze so fierce that anyone who dared to look into his eyes would be struck with fear or even paralyzed with terror. His eyes glowed like burning embers, adding to his already fearsome reputation. 5. His breath could freeze the living. Cerberus's breath wasn't just deadly, it could freeze anyone who got too close. His chilling, cold exhale was said to create an unbearable sensation of fear and dread, ensuring that no mortal would dare approach the gates of the underworld. 6. Only one hero ever subdued him. The legendary hero Heracles, was the only mortal who successfully captured Cerberus as part of his 12 labors. Heracles had to fight and subdue the beast without harming him, which was an incredibly difficult and dangerous task that showed just how powerful Cerberus truly was. 7. Cerberus was immortal. As the guardian of the underworld, Cerberus was said to be immortal and impervious to death. While others might fall in battle, this 3-headed beast would live on forever, maintaining his role as the ultimate protector of Hades's domain. 8. He was often depicted with a serpent-like tail. While most images of Cerberus show him with 3 heads of dogs, his tail is often depicted as a snake, adding an extra level of fear and eeriness to his overall appearance. The tail was said to have venomous qualities, making it another weapon in his fearsome arsenal. 9. He had a notable role in Greek afterlife beliefs. Cerberus wasn't just a guardian, he also had a symbolic role in Greek views of the afterlife. His role as the keeper of the underworld emphasized the boundary between life and death, reminding mortals that once they crossed into the realm of the dead, they could never return. 10. Cerberus has inspired many popular culture references. Over the centuries, Cerberus has influenced countless works of art, literature, and films. From Dante's Inferno to modern-day video games like Resident Evil, Cerberus has become an enduring symbol of the underworld, continuing to terrify and inspire audiences worldwide.